brains and future AI overlords. I'm here to talk about OpenAI's ChatGPT, and we're going to talk about the downside, some of the limitations around the chatbots, and in particular, an issue with ChatGPT currently. So I absolutely love OpenAI's ChatGPT. For me, it was my first modern artificial intelligence chatbot. I'm so used to search, and while chatbots provide information, it's not like a traditional search experience because it's evolved into a conversation. And that conversation can be short and quick, it can be deep, it can span lots of meandering thoughts. Just like a conversation with a person, it's very dynamic. And so that's one thing I absolutely really loved when I first opened my OpenAI account and logged into ChatGPT, was just the creativity behind the chatbot. Now, it was not always smart about some things. Like early on, there were things that I couldn't ask it the date and time, basic things I thought any intelligent modern tool could ask, but it was incredibly creative. And for me, the questions I was asking, a lot of my early questions were just sort of like, hey, what do you know? What are you? What are your limits? So it was more of that, like exploring, what is this thing? I found it to be incredibly fast, just like Google search, incredibly fast, which was great. But it really is a truly innovative technology and really mind-blowing. Now we know AI has been around for decades, but this is sort of like this new era that started at the end of 2022 with these new large language models and these new chatbots providing a whole different experience. So my love of OpenAI, ChatGPT is deep. I mean, I love it. I use it daily. It is a fantastic tool, personally and professionally. Now, limitations. Now, these are limitations of pretty much all the chatbots out there. They don't have a real world understanding. They don't have experience or a common sense of reasoning. It relies on patterns and knowledge present in the training data. So it may struggle with context-specific questions or ambiguous queries or tasks that require a practical understanding. Sensitivity to input phrasing. It's highly sensitive to the way we word and phrase our input. Even slight changes can give us different responses. And I know that kind of freaks people out. Users we need to experiment with how we phrase and provide context to get to the answers that we're trying to get to. Now, propensity to generate plausible sounding but incorrect answers. Now, this is maddening. The goal isn't to spread bad information. That's not their goal. They're new. They want to give us coherent responses. And they do want to give us answers that are factually correct, but that's not always true. Just kind of like, we have to be responsible with what we search for on the internet, particularly with the new technology that is still evolving and is so new. We need to be skeptical sometimes of the content. There's no fact-checking mechanisms in these tools. So we need to be cautious about the way we use them and, validate information, which I know is a pain, but it's sort of the world we live in today. The sensitivity to biases. So it learns from training data, which may include biases in that source material. So as a result, it may exhibit biased behaviors in the way it responds to certain topics. And And that's something that I know the technology companies are all working on. They want to remove the bias from the data. This data is, a lot of human data, a lot of human biases are in there. And so the tools are going to pick up on that. And there have been many experiences in the past with AI experiments, at different companies with chatbots becoming incredibly racist or hiring tools becoming incredibly sexist. Because their data was biased, they behaved in the way that they were trained. So inappropriate or offensive outputs. So now I know that that this is something that's difficult too, but this falls under that same kind of biased behavior experience. It's all based on that data, and so and I know that that's something that companies are trying to implement safety mitigation tools so that these kind of inappropriate outputs and offensive outputs are limited, but just be aware of that. So limited understanding of context. So while they can generate coherent responses, they don't have the context awareness that we have as humans, and they don't maintain a memory of the conversation preceding except for the few exchanges that we're having with it. So it doesn't always provide consistent responses or ones that are accurate if there's a lot of context that you've got around a conversation. So just know that the context is limited. For example, in bingchat, there's 30 interactions. Once you're done with that, it's gone. Once you reset a chat, that context is gone. So just, make sure that you're giving the chatbot enough context to provide your responses, and just kind of know that limitation. So it's the whole issue really resides on dependence on the training data. So the responses are influenced by the data that it trained on. It knows only what it knows, just like us humans. So if the training data is inaccurate or biased or has misinformation, that can definitely affect the responses. So just make sure you understand that these limitations are there. Keep them in the back of your mind as you're interacting. I know they're exciting and they're cool and it's so amazing and I love it so much, but sometimes you just have to kind of be aware of what the limitations are with any technology. So getting specifically with probably one of the biggest limitations with OpenAI's ChatGPT is it's limited by a date. The knowledge cutoff for ChatGPT, and this is the 3.5 model, is September 2021. So this means ChatGPT can only access and process information that was publicly available before that date. So as a result, ChatGPT won't give you the answer about events or topics that happened after September 2021. And it is very frustrating. You can be having a conversation, a great conversation, and asking questions, and all of a sudden you get this, I'm not aware of information after September 2021 type of response. And it's great that it's transparent about that and it puts that in there, but it's so jarring and it feels so limited. And yes, this tool has only been out since the end of 2022. So I know it's frustrating, but I do, as much as I love OpenAI's ChatGPT, as much as there are limitations with all these chatbots, I really wish OpenAI would work on this issue of, reducing the knowledge cutoff for ChatGPT. Because I know they're improving it, and they're making it better and smarter. But this knowledge cutoff, it just I feel like it hits me all the time in ways that are unexpected, and it just like goes bing, like boom. I'm not aware of things after this date, So when you're in the flow of a conversation, a discussion, and you just get hit by that, it's just so jarring and disappointing, I think, is really the thing. So now OpenAI hasn't announced any plans to update that knowledge cutoff, which to me is like, this should be a huge priority. I know they're doing like incredible things, working on so many amazing, aspects and improvements and stuff like that. But I really think this should be something that's kind of an Achilles heel for ChatGPT. So hopefully they'll eventually update this knowledge cutoff and figure out a way to reduce the impact of this or remove it altogether. So, OpenAI is limited by this date. It's September 2021. So anything after that date, that's not publicly available, before that date, it's not aware of. So it may not be able to give you a full answer of things that happened after that. So if you're asking about functionality and changes in technology, it's going to be limited to that date. And there's no announcement on whether it's going to resolve this. Hopefully they will in the future, but gosh, I wish that future was sooner. So what do you do? So if you're looking for information about events or topics that happened after 2021, so you may want to use a different, search engine or chatbot. There are other, chatbot language models that are limited by this date, and they can provide you with the information that's up to date. So I recommend googlebard. I use googlebard every day as well. So when I'm, for me, it avoids the issue of the cutoff date because it's trained on a data set that is constantly being updated. This data set includes information from lots of different sources, but because Bard has access and can process this information, it is not limited like ChatGPT is for this knowledge cutoff date. So that makes googlebard a really great experience. And it's one of the reasons why googlebard to me is, pretty much my go-to, even more than OpenAI's ChatGPT. Now, Microsoft Bing Chat also avoids this issue because, they can web search and access information in the Bing search engine. So that allows it to update its chat with that information. So Bing Chat is also another option as well. So ranking of these tools, even though I love OpenAI's ChatGPT, and I will likely use it for a very, very long time, and hopefully they will make it better and better and better when it comes to dealing with this date change. I mean, they're doing amazing things with the updated language models. They're doing things with plugins. They're integrating with browsers. So, I mean, they are doing lots of amazing stuff. But this date limitation is why googlebard is access to, current information. I rank it #1. It's not limited by this. ChatGPT is still amazing and fun and, a great experience. And then Bing Chat, I give it #3. And that's mainly just because its conversation is not nearly as fun or as verbose or as creative and interesting, even when I've got it in creative mode compared to the other AIs. But that is my feedback on OpenAI ChatGPT and some of the limitations of chatbots, the key limitation of the date issue with OpenAI ChatGPT, and some alternatives. So thank you for joining me, and have a great day.